razzle dazzle, we're the best. No, the courts aren't on your side, but they're not on the tenant side either.
Jen!
Like, you are independently wealthy when you are naked.
I am over treating property management the same as real estate sales.
I guess I'll lead the witness. I think it's freaking scammy. Welcome to Hold It with PM Jen, the show for real estate investors who buy and hold forever and ever. Amen. Welcome to Hold It with PM Jen, the show for buy and hold investors who buy and hold forever and ever. Amen. I'm Jen Rulins. I am broker and owner of One Focus Property Management. That's the day gig, but I really love to educate and advocate for real estate investors, and that's what this show is all about. Today, I have guest Kishan Golla. Now, I've known Kishan for several years. I met him at an investor meetup in Danville, and he's based in Danville, Pennsylvania. He is super experienced in multifamily syndication deals, and just some impressive numbers. He has been doing this for over 13 years. He has done over 43 deals, either completed and in progress, and that totals over 8,500 doors. By day, he's got a career in IT, but these deals are really what's most exciting because they're bringing returns of over 100% in sometimes as little as 2 and 3 years for his investors. So welcome, Kishan. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Well, I'd really like to know just a little bit more about you and how you got to the point where you're like, real estate's my thing.
Sure. So very beginning of my IT career, I started looking at it, options, the 2008 market crash. That had brought me a lot of thoughts that how long will I be, continue to stay in IT and doing this? I'm sure there will be another crash. There will be another, double depression like that scenario. So that's when I start educating myself. And I started with single family investments.
Okay. Just direct buying assets in your area.
Right?
Okay.
So I had a really bad property management companies, right? I thought they do very well, but they didn't do well.
Okay.
I wish I had a great property management companies like you guys, right?
Thank you.
Then after 2-3 times, bad tenant situation, evictions and all, I realized that I need to find a better property management company who are more process driven, like you guys, right?
Yeah.
Process systems in place, right? So once I found out it's kind of a semi-automated, fully automated, and then I felt, okay, I'm good at this, so I want to grow myself. That's when I started educating again, next level education, going to conferences, and I am somebody who went to every single conference across the country, from Boston to California, all the multifamily conferences.
That's really unusual because what you've described is like you figured out what many people do, right? They buy some small assets, right, near them, figure out the management of it. You did that, and you liked real estate, so you wanted to go into it. Why didn't you just go out and buy more properties? Why did you decide, I'm going to go to all these conferences and figure out how to go much bigger?
Sure. So during this, when I was doing this single family, I felt this is great, but economies at scale is better thing. Tax benefits. Single family, you will not be able to do the depreciation, right? Benefits.
Okay.
But in multifamily, syndications, joint ventures, you can do that.
Sure.
So that's when I felt, if I have to scale up, I better know all the ins and outs, then find out what is the best way. I truly believe in I'm a big follower of Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy. These are the self-development gurus. Mm-hmm. When you step in my car, you always hear their audios playing no matter what, right? So one thing I believe is, if you find a mentor, it will shrink, or it will crush decades of the time into days. Okay.
That is so true.
Right. That's when I figure out I need to have a mentor. I cannot do by myself. Okay. So that's when during exploration of going to all these conferences, I felt to me, who is a better mentor, I found Mark Kenny. Coincidentally, at that time, I was living in Dallas, Texas. Guess what? How far he is from my home? No. Only 7 miles away.
But you didn't find him due to proximity. You found him because you were looking for an expert in the space.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
And there are many mentors declined me too, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you don't have a high net worth. You don't have a high amount of cash in your bank account. It's good that you are educating, but you may not be the right fit for my mentorship. I felt, okay, it's good, right?
It's good when they tell you no.
Right. I feel like, every time I get rejection, I feel like, if you're not getting enough rejections, that means you're not aiming for the big enough things.
Absolutely.
So that's when I felt I need to find a better one.
Okay.
So I found Mark Kenny, and he's been a great mentor to me. And I'm still in part of his coaching students.
Sure.
He helped all his students how to find the properties, end-to-end education, and also he will let do the deals and be part of it. So
that's incredible. And you joined that 12 years ago?
Oh, I joined in 2017.
Oh my goodness. Is this track record of 43 deals and 8,500 doors since 2017?
Yes.
My goodness, you must be the best student at this school.
I try to be.
I think so. And I think maybe those mentors who told you no might. What would you say is a credit to your very quick and huge success? What's so special about you?
I'm being straightforward, honest, and there are many times I learn from the people. One of my good friend too. She's also a coach on capital raising. Her name is Keely Hubbard. She's also in Dallas. So through these deals, I have developed interaction, rapport with them, and she became a good friend and learned how to raise the capital more efficient way. So to me, from my perspective, there are many people come to us that we want to invest. We put them through the series of questions and see what is best for them. If it is not best fit for them, we told them that this may not be the right fit for you.
Right.
So you may want to look at other avenues.
Let's back up a little bit, because my viewers, the people I really talk to are often the first stage of your career, right? Mm-hmm. When you were buying and owning small multifamily, single family stuff around you. And so this is a big leap. You're using some new words like investors and deals and mentors. And so just help me understand what is different about a syndication, and we'll just use an example, 200 doors in Atlanta, Georgia, right? Mm-hmm. How is that syndication deal different from me and my family LLC going out and buying 200 doors together? How does that different?
So money-wise, it's not different, but the approach, right? When you're buying all by you and your family, you're bringing your own LLC, and you're investing it, you're owning it.
Right.
Whereas syndication is we create an LLC, which owns the property when we buy it, but all the investors come under part of that LLC. So it may not be, definitely there are so many people we reach out to. So at this point, I want to give you a small clarification.
Okay.
There are two types of deals in syndication. One is a 506C, 506B.
Okay.
Excuse me. So 506C, C stands for public.
I see.
So you can educate, put it on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, wherever you want, all public social media, okay? But there is a condition that you cannot accept any investor whose net worth is there has to be a qualifying criteria. They call it as accredited investors.
Oh, okay.
So there is a qualifying criteria by IRS, or not IRS, sorry, the SEC.
Gotcha.
Right. So
the SEC has said, I'm an accredited investor. I've got the right net worth.
Right.
This person, not accredited, not able to participate in a 506C deal.
Right. But
okay. You know what's better than building generational wealth? Not a damn thing. And obviously the best way to do that is through buy and hold real estate. But let's be real, managing your properties yourself, that's a one-way ticket to burnout. This is supposed to be an investment, not a burden. At One Focus Property Management, we don't just manage your properties, we make buy and hold real estate actually work. We handle everything: tenant screening, maintenance, rent collection, you name it. All you do is watch your portfolio and net worth grow. We make sure you never even think about quitting real estate investing, because the secret to buy and hold is to hold it for a very long time. And you can't do that when you sell every time you have a problem. We're the biggest, baddest property management team in Lycoming, Clinton, Northumberland, Montour, and Columbia counties. And we do it all to give you more protection, less work, and absolutely no drama. So let's turn your rental properties into wealth-building machines. Learn more at onefocuspm.com. That's onefocuspm.com.
There is one more subclass in that. So there is a qualifying criteria for it. Being accredited, non-accredited, we can elaborate it later on in the show.
Yeah.
So there is a 506B, right? B for be in person. You got to know the person personally, okay? You cannot advertise it in the public, social media, anywhere else, right? But you got to know the person, right? Then you present the deal. You can bring any amount of the from any individual investor. You can bring any amount, but you cannot go a certain number. Like, for example, 35 investors.
Oh, I can't have more than 35 investors.
Non-accredited investors.
Okay.
Okay.
But if I want to go more than 35 investors, I would have
those
to then
has
get
to be
accredited,
right?
I understand.
So
Okay.
that's why we put a criteria saying that, you got to have. We try to bring as much as capital from those non-accredited investors. For example.
Why? What's so appealing about an unaccredited investor?
So let's say, for a simple math, right? There are 35 non-accredited investors are there. Let's say you ask them $10,000 per person. How much? It's $350,000. You want to raise $3 million. So rest of the money, right? $2,650,000 has to come from accredited investors only. Okay. So why you want to bank small money from these investors? You want to go appropriate amount, so that way you cover some runway and you go reach out to other investors.
Oh, because the accredited investors are going to have a different standard for returns.
Accredited investors can put $10,000, $1,000, $10,000. Doesn't matter. They have all the power.
Interesting.
Right? So as long as we are okay. So that's why we try to go non-accredited investors. We go minimum of $75,000.
Yeah.
Some deals we put them minimum $100,000. Otherwise, we won't accept it.
So what would be different? Again, let's use My Family LLC and let's use this 506B example, right? That seems pretty typical for you.
Sure.
So My Family LLC, my grandma's in for 1/20th of it, right? And the rest of us are all in, and she has her experience. She's contributed her equity. She probably gets a quarterly statement, and at the end of the year, when we decide how much money to distribute, grandma gets a check. If grandma was in your syndication, what's her experience as an investor? Remember, she just heard about this at Thanksgiving, wrote a check. It's all quite passive and easy for grandma. What's it like when she does the 506B?
So, there is not much difference.
Okay.
The thing is, the communication, you get a communication monthly once, and it's pretty much hands off, whether she's been a part of the family or been part of the syndication. So the thing is, here, when you are doing with the family, there must be a person who is signing on the loan. Here, you are not signing on the loan. Your grandma is not signing on the loan. So
grandma's only exposed in so much as she contributed her equity.
Yes, yes. And these loans, syndications are non-recourse loans most of the times. Okay, I would say 80%, 90% of the times back in 2017 until 2022, right? Non-recourse loans. Pretty much every lead sponsor finds it, or co-sponsor, being part of the deal.
Yep.
Whereas when you buy through the family, so whoever from your family is signing on the loan, they're responsible for that loan. It is a recourse loan. That means lender can come after you.
Yep.
So here, non-recourse loan, still people who sign on the loan as a leads, co-sponsors, are right. They are responsible for three things. One, they need to match net worth. They have to have liquid cash, and they need to have experience.
Okay.
So these three things they need to meet. Not everybody can sign on the syndication loans too.
Right.
So
Interesting. Well, that's okay. That helps me understand a little bit, and help me now. The next level is we're calling you a multifamily syndicator, and you've talked about your job a little bit. You've talked about finding investors, right, and determining if they're right for your deals or not. Are you also finding the properties? Are you underwriting those properties?
Sure. So syndication have 5 parts.
Okay.
Okay. One, so finding the deal,
Okay.
sourcing the deal. Okay, that's the number one.
And how do you do that?
By underwriting the lots of properties. On average, 80 properties you underwrite it, you may find one.
Wow, you're kissing a lot of frogs.
Oh yes, definitely. Right. So
That's a lot of time.
Yes, you got to spend time, and we do 2 levels of underwriting: high level and deep dive. So that is you got to understand what you're plugging the numbers. Then once you find the deal, you got to put earnest money, EMD, earnest money deposit. That is the second part. You got to put for a $10 million property. They ask at least 2%.
So you've found the deal, you've underwritten it. It needs an earnest money deposit to hold it for you to then go find investment, right? So is that your role, is to you're going to contribute the earnest money deposit to kind of hold this deal while you work it?
That's when we reach out to the mentor that, hey, I found the deal. Mentor knows that from the beginning what I'm working on. So when I find the deal, numbers wise sounds good. Then said, hey, the deal is ready, so it's time to go under contract. So we ask other people who is under him that if I have money, yes, I will go forward. If he does have money, he will come and help us.
Sure.
If you have a student who want to be part of it, they are more than welcome to come.
That's one thing about you guys. You can have the money this week and not next week, and then maybe next month you have it. It's not like you have no money or don't. It's a very time-sensitive issue.
So you just have to see who you are bringing in, and explain the risks, right? So, for a $10 million property, $200,000, it has to be in escrow for the buyer want to see. Then we go under contract, and once we are under contract, we do the due diligence.
That's my favorite part.
Yes, property management companies like you guys, we hire them and tell them that, look, this property is under contract. We request you to do the due diligence. We walk every unit with you. So we have a sheet, and you check the cabin, sink, refrigerator, AC, carpet, roofs leaking, everything in the apartment. We walk with you and list down all the things. And put it in we compile an Excel sheet. What is the deferred maintenance? So that's where we reach out to a property management company like you guys, and yes, it's for you. It's a client you are earning. For sure, we pay you for the amount of work you do. Most of the property management companies, it's an intense 100 unit. We complete 3 days, 2 days due diligence.
Okay.
So we stay on feet more than 8 hours, 10 hours.
I've done days like that.
Right.
Because that's one of our processes too here.
Right.
We that walking due diligence process, we do it whether you're buying it or not. And it comes from years of working in multifamily where I did this. I was the property management company that we would go in and assess and learn how to stabilize a property. And what's so funny is people always say, oh, you're looking at the refrigerator and the smoke detector and the locks. And I am.
Yes.
I see a lot more than that.
Right.
When you see people living in a property and you see a ton of units on that property, it all tells a story.
Sure.
It all tells a story that when you've toured thousands of doors, as I now know you have, you probably know a thing or two too about the stories that you can just kind of look and go, all right. and this is going to be this kind of a challenge or that kind of a challenge, and good property managers do that. So you're on step 3. You're doing due diligence. You're making sure, hey.
Still, step 2 is a part of the due diligence is that, right?
Okay.
So usually when we are doing this process, when we park our car itself, when we drive around the neighborhood, the kinds of cars they have, kinds of windshield is broken, with the duct tape and all.
Because you're trying to figure out a market rent.
Right. We see the sidings, gutters, how it is. We know what we are getting into. We have a fair idea. Okay. Sure. So, and then, while we're doing that, we also put the deal, raising capital, number 3. So, raising capital.
So you don't raise the capital until you've kind of sussed the deal and done the due diligence and go, nope, this is solid.
Yes.
Got it. You've heard it 1,000 times. Your network is your net worth. But what are you actually doing about it? See, the most successful people I know dedicate time and money to growing and strengthening their networks. And I don't mean by joining Facebook groups and posting that you're looking for deals. Here's a tip. That doesn't work. You have to be in person with people who share your interests and be willing to help each other. At the Williamsport Area Real Estate Investors Meetup, the largest in the region, we do just that. We're focused on making sure you meet people that help you achieve your goals. This isn't one of those events where speakers pitch you their overpriced courses or books. Nope. We bring in legit experts to drop actual value, and it's totally free. For now. But don't hold me to that forever, because this is too good and the room only holds so many. Get the dates, times, and speaker lineup at holditwithpmgen.com. That's holditwithpmgen.com, and I will see you there. Okay.
Right. Because when we go, there is a, earnest money deposit, there is a way, there are time they give us 15 days, no hard. That means we give 15 days time, you do the due diligence, you don't like it, you back out, you get your money back.
Okay.
So some sellers, they are not okay. Most of the sellers, they will be reasonable. If they're not reasonable, we say, you know what, we don't want to go hard on day 1 because we don't know what we are walking in, right? So that's what it is.
Okay.
So there are always, we look out, we do in a way, thinking that everything can go wrong, still the money is protected.
Sure.
Of course, the time and efforts anyways burn, right? That has to be.
Yeah.
So we reach out to our attorney. We use our attorney company called Dugan Kelly. Mm-hmm. He's they call it as Kelly Clark, company name. Okay. They are out of Dallas. They've been one of the biggest syndication attorneys in the country.
Wow.
So personally, he's a good friend of mine, and
I bet given this number of deals.
Right. So they did for others too.
Yeah, I'm
They've
sure.
been a very service-oriented company. Then we create a private placement memorandum.
Okay.
And do the webinar. Capital raising starts.
A webinar. So you instead of getting people in a room and telling them, you're usually doing a webinar to people?
We have done that too.
Okay.
We have done that, local, let's say if 20 people want to meet me in person, I have done it.
Sure.
If people are living in California, I'm living here in Danville, Pennsylvania, no reason for me to fly all out there for one person, right?
So you're putting on a webinar saying, this is the deal, now it's time to send your checks.
Right.
Okay.
So we'll walk through them steps, show them a business plan, where we are, what it is, how it is, right? Where it is going to be.
Right.
And we give them a scope that this is a 5-year or 6-year hold. Right. Then after that, we're going to sell.
Yep.
So far, we exited more than 19 deals. The longest we ever held was 3 years, 2 months. The shortest was 15 months.
Oh.
Even though we scope it for 5 years, 6 years time, we did not.
Yeah.
The reason is we always look out for exits.
And we were talking about this before. Mm-hmm. Why is the exit so important in a syndication? And why doesn't this group of investors just hold it indeterminately? Says, hold it with PM Jen.
Sure. Very good question. A lot of people, don't understand, but since you are very detail oriented, you're asking this question. So apartments expenses go like this. Okay.
Okay.
It
And you're
goes
showing up and down.
up and down, right?
vacillate,
So
yeah.
you got to catch out at a, where it is, and when you're bringing it down, and you got to exit out. Otherwise, it won't be, just because you have an efficient system doesn't mean that it's going to stay like that. So plumbing can break, foundation issues can come, roofs can get,
So is it fair
damaged.
to say you're finding an asset that's in need of some renovation? You
Right.
do that renovation and then figure it's at the top of its value just after I've completed the renovation, probably got all the rents up as high as they can get, and you
Right.
think I've kind of made it perfect.
Right.
Let's sell it now.
Yes.
And is it ever an option for those people who go, wow, I just love all the money I've made. I love my 100+% return in 3 years. I want to stay in this beautiful 300 unit Memphis property, Kishan. Why can't I stay here?
Yes.
Is that ever what your investors are saying?
There are people come and ask us, and that, hey, we want to stay in this deal. I said, look, when as a general in the syndication, there are again two parts of the deal.
Okay.
All the investors, we consider them as a limited partners. You can call it as a passive investors too. There are the co-sponsors, the leads, we all call it as a general partners.
Okay.
GP. Okay. So we tell them that I understand, we appreciate your trust, and you've been enjoying the returns, right? But when we are exiting, we'll have another deal ready, and we show them that you are more than welcome to roll in your money, right? That's when another topic comes in, 1031.
Interesting.
1031 exchange.
Understand. Let's talk about something else, though, that is kind of a little bit more current right now. And it's
Sure.
something I've been hearing people talk about. Our next segment, Hold the Presses. And listen, it's not news that interest rates are different than our
Right.
historic lows. And what I'm interested in knowing as a gentleman who's been super active since 2017, what does that look like from a syndicator standpoint? What happened to those deals that maybe were written with 5-year projections that didn't account for a 5+% jump in interest rates in 1 year? Tell me about that. Like, what happens to those deals that get caught in that?
So I'll give you here, the best, ugly, three parts, right?
Okay.
I'll give the reality, okay? A lot of people, they don't mind to say, they don't say it on the camera, but I'll say it.
Okay.
There are deals, struggling across the nation ever since these interest rates went higher and higher. It is, the number of deals on the market is quadruple now, okay? So there is when you're underwriting, there is a aspect called rate cap. Word is rate cap, okay? Not the cap rate. So rate cap, that means if the interest rates go beyond this percentage, it's like an insurance policy you're taking it.
Oh, you can get an insurance policy on what interest rates do.
Yes.
Very interesting.
You
I
don't
didn't
call it as
understand that.
insurance policy. I'm giving an analogy,
Oh,
right?
I see. Okay.
So it's called rate cap. You can buy a rate cap that, okay, the interest rates go beyond this, and the rate cap is going to cover the difference.
Okay.
So these policies are not cheap. There are these policies, at times people bought for 100,000, 200,000, $500,000 too. And some properties people bought for $1 million, $2 million also. But the benefit is, at times like this, they can't thank enough to having the rate cap.
Interesting. I bet the rate cap salespeople will do well for the next several years.
yes.
Interesting. That I didn't know that was a part of it, and I know I've I talk to a lot of investors,
Right.
And so this question comes from something I've heard, which is, oh, I was having a great experience investing with whatever syndication outfit, wherever,
Right.
but some of these deals have lost money in the last couple
Of
of
course.
years, and they're frustrated, and how is anybody supposed to know what interest rates are supposed to do? And yeah.
There are some global events like stock market crash, Fed's increasing interest rates, the cyclones, all the hurricanes coming. You can't control those.
Right.
So that's why we educate investors saying that, look, even though all these deals are sounding great on the paper,
Right.
it is money is at risk.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody ever thought the Feds will increase the interest rates like this, right? It happened 40 years ago. most of the history, all the analytics, brokers, multifamily brokers and all,
Yeah.
they go at the max 30 years.
Right.
That's where they stop.
They do.
Right? But if you go 40 years, that's when you see this happened in the past.
Sure.
So that's why if the property does not have a rate cap, these deals have to go through the capital call, member loans, eventually foreclosure happens. Yes, we had capital calls happen.
Yeah.
We have been in a tough spot.
Sure.
Investors get mad, and what it is, right? It is not anyone's fault. It is economics, how the things have been changing.
Yeah.
So that's why it is very, very important to set the expectations, educate them. As I told you an example, right? At the beginning of this, we didn't record it on it, but I'll say it. If people come to us that, hey, I have $50,000, $75,000, this is my kids' college fund, but I want to invest, thinking that I'll get the returns. I told many, many times to the people that if this is the money all you have, please don't invest.
Yep. Yeah.
Because things could go wrong. Right?
And it is, when you think about, when I think about the risk, it is hard for the average person to understand on these $5-10 million deals, the role that debt and the interest rate associated with that debt is playing. It really is, besides the property making money, that debt leveraging your money to be able to buy that massive property is so much of it. And we don't often treat interest rate risk seriously. We have very short memories.
Yes.
And we clearly can't even remember 40 years ago.
Right. So
is real estate investment just so much harder than you thought? I know it seems unfair, but, and I say this with love, that's what the money's for. Taking the risk and figuring out the problems. And if you do it well, you are handsomely rewarded. Lucky for you, I've got 2 new events lined up that will change the game for you. First up, Deal Tours. Imagine spending an entire day with me, walking through multifamily properties available for sale. Off market, of course, breaking down the numbers and figuring out how to stabilize and add value like a pro. I am making that dream a reality, and whether you're actively buying or just sharpening your skills, this is where real investors learn to win. First one is in spring 2025. And this fall, the Buy Better, Hold Better Summit. One day, top-tier education, industry experts with experience in the North Central PA market who actually know what they're talking about, and the connections you need to make your investment success possible. Think of it as a masterclass in buy and hold real estate. Additionally, the room is full of people doing the same thing as you, so you can build that network with little effort. Don't forget, for the 4th year in a row, we are hosting our Williamsport area real estate investor meetups every other month in Linden. Want the inside track? Of course you do. Go to holditwithpmjen.com and register for event updates. And while you're at it, follow me, Hold It with PM Jen, on Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Helping real people grow real wealth with real estate.
So here is the thing. The best strategy always with this, 2022, Fed's increasing interest rates, fiasco, all the things are happening. The lessons learned, all the investor community, that it's not advisable to go through the bridge loans all the time.
Okay.
Right? Go with the Fed, Fannie and Freddie Mac, right?
Okay.
Go with the rate cap, thinking that you may have to hold it longer.
Sure.
So it's not always like home run.
Yeah.
So these times has taught a lot of people that things is not going to be. It's like a climate. Things are changing all the time. Like winter, summer, spring. You have all the seasons, right? So
if somebody tells you they only hit home runs, they're lying.
Yes.
Yeah, they're absolutely lying.
When people reach out to us, there is one of the questions you have it. I saw that. So you go ahead with your questions.
I was going to say just one more thing. So our next segment's called Hold for Gold. I'm obsessed with value add strategies. And one thing I love that I don't get to do too much of is large multifamily, because there's just so much fruit on that vine. I mean, incredible stuff. I get really excited about it. I want to know, what are some of the best, most, and I call them sexy, but what I really mean is profitable value adds you've seen done on multifamily?
See, money is there. People think that money is there in only bigger deals. It's not true.
I see.
Money is there in smaller deals. Money is there in medium-sized deals and bigger deals.
Right.
It's all about how you underwrite it, how the things fall in place.
I see.
And how efficiently you manage the property with a good property management company like you guys.
Yeah. So, but what have you seen done? Is it low? Is it like utility management? Is it amenities? Is it like what gets besides just discipline management? Because you do take something, you have to make changes to significantly move value like you are. What kinds of changes have you really seen move that needle?
So we, with the times like this, we look at it, rent growth not always happens what you intend.
Right.
Okay. There are times rent growth is not happening as you projected. It's going in a negative direction, right? So we always look for the average unit price in the market, not the top, not the lowest. We always look for the average, and we always look for the average rent in the market.
Okay.
Every sub-market is different.
Sure.
And we always look at the best property management company and utilities. And also we look at it, what kind of expense reduction, like, keep the expenses at 50% of your collections.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So you're really focused on certain KPIs, like balancing them out, and you see then this kind of value add come out.
Yes.
Holy, how bad were these properties being run before you bought them? Is that usually the case? Is that they just have to be super mismanaged for there to be this kind of meat?
People won't say they mismanaged it. It just happened to them like that.
Okay.
So delinquency has been one of the biggest hurdle we have seen.
Okay.
We have experienced also. Delinquency in the sense people stay there but they don't pay the rent.
Sure.
People stay there but they only pay partial. Mm-hmm. They're earning but they say they don't have a job. But these kind of things we have seen it. These are the very, very important aspects, and how to reduce the delinquency is the biggest part, challenge.
Wow.
People have to put in process delinquency, right? So those are the things.
Interesting. I can see how that would move the needle, particularly if they're being so mismanaged.
Yes.
Our next segment called Hold On to That Thought. We've got listener questions. And the first one that I think people are thinking, and you've kind of addressed it. Frankie in Williamsport asks, I'm in some investing groups where I've gone for education and there are opportunities for syndications there, right? They've met somebody, but I don't know how to evaluate them. How do I figure out if the general partner is trustworthy? How do I make sure I don't lose my money? And I think you maybe told me what you would say to that person.
First thing first, if a lead sponsor who is talking to you, right? If you like the deal, you can always ask that, hey, can I talk to your references?
Oh.
Can I see in the past deals what you have done successfully, right?
And who would I expect to speak with? Somebody who handed you a check for $50,000 and was happy about it.
Right.
Okay, understood.
So, and if it is local, let's say in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, you're more than welcome to, hey, can I tour the property with you?
Okay.
Right. So they will. If they are under contract, they are like, they don't expect you to go to the leasing office and talk about it because acquisition hasn't done yet. Don't do that. So, but you are more than welcome to tour the property with them.
Yeah.
If it is like, 20 unit, 30 unit, 80 unit, or 100 unit, it does not take a long time. Okay. It's your due diligence, what you do the interactions with him, and see how the person is and how credible he is, and does he say what does he do what he says? I see. Is very important. So I don't expect anybody to jump in, okay, somebody reach out to me.
Right.
You got to know whether his underwriting, his assumptions, what he's going in is going to happen or not.
Yeah.
So those are you got to put a little thought on it.
Yeah. And so I hear you saying I got to decide if I like the deal. I have to decide if I like this person. I get to ask for references. That is a normal thing that should be accommodated.
Right.
And I get to tour the property if it's reasonable and feasible for me to do. Like I can get on the ground and look and see there are 100 2-bedroom units here. There
Yes.
are this and that. Okay. Well, our last segment as we wrap this up, and I'm sorry we don't have more time because there's a lot more I want to ask you, is called Hold My Drink. And this is about cocktail party stories, the fun stuff. And I talk a lot about the buy and hold journey being mostly boredom, interrupted by moments of sheer panic. Now, the person who owns the 4-unit in Williamsport might have different moments of sheer panic than the gentleman who's doing 8,000 units and all of this. But I'd love to hear about a deal that had you panicking maybe more than you were used to.
There are many instances like that. So here is the thing. Again, going back to thought process, do you want to go smaller deal or bigger deal, right? If you look at it, the emotions you go through, it's the same.
Yeah.
Okay. The time you spend, it's going to be the same. Okay. That's why people go, instead of a smaller deal, they go bigger deal or medium-sized deal.
That's very interesting what you just said. You said, I'm going to spend the same amount of time. I'm going to have the same emotions. Why don't I do a $5 million deal instead of a $500,000 deal?
Right.
That's very important.
Right. So there are times, yes, we want to, as I was giving an example to you, Memphis, Tennessee, we bought a property, 144 doors. We were raising $3 million. It has been, as I explained you, 16 units got burned down to the studs, right? 2 units, it's all washer and dryers. They stacked up.
They're just storage units for washing machines.
But it's actually rental units. Mom and pop shop, right? They've been owning it for the last 25 years, and that's it, right? And we found a better property management company in Memphis, Tennessee. They turned around the property, and we could able to. It was a so scary moment. Even though we raised $3 million for that deal with the help of my mentor, the group, right? Which I've been part of it. There are times we felt, man, we can't raise any capital on this deal. It has been such a tough deal. But, we convinced investors. They invested with us. And there are, after acquisition also, we had our share, our moments with, tough emotional situation. Investors are not happy because we are not able to deliver, stabilization period 9 months because it's taking longer. It took a 1.5 year for us to stabilize it. Wow. But after that, we start delivering their payout checks, quarterly checks. And then people start seeing that, okay, this property is really turned around, right? Tenants used to get robbed at a gunpoint, and we help with having a proper security, right? In 3 years, 2 months, we sold the property for 125% returns. Investors felt so happy, and people who invested $100,000, they got their 100 back, they got their cash flow, and they got their $125,000 back.
Some of those plans work smooth, and it looks effortless. And then there's ones like that where you had to work so freaking hard to make that happen.
Right.
And probably for your investors, they go, oh, well, thanks, I'm used to this. And you're like, I killed myself to make that happen.
Yes, there are times. That's why we tell people that we go into a deal thinking that everything could go wrong. Still, principle is protected. But economic times like this, where interest rates are going, same deal back then in 2017, 2018, when we bought it. If we do that same deal today, doesn't even work.
Wow.
The reason is interest rates went so high, so it is not the time to buy multifamily deals with bridge loans.
I see.
You can still buy the deals with the Fannie and Freddie agency debt.
Sure.
And with the rate cap on it, having expectations low.
Yeah.
That you are not going to get the same rent growth what used to be in 2018, 2022.
Yeah.
Right? It is different times now. And another important aspect I want to add on, during the show, insurance rates are not the same. It's been 30 to 40% increase from 2021 to today.
Yes.
So,
And after the news this week, we're recording in mid-October.
Right.
I don't know what happens in the next year premiums, because what I've heard from insurance companies, it is these natural disasters, particularly in
Yes.
Florida and the South, that are driving our property. We're seeing carriers drop, especially
Yes.
small multifamily, and rates are just through the roof.
yes, yes.
So that risk, though, on a large deal, like, so the premium, property insurance premium on a deal, like, what percentage of the P&L is that, or what are we looking at?
It is a very, very high on it. And the one way to get around is we always we shop with a right broker, look for the right insurance company through the proper broker. We also go with the property management company. If the property management company is big enough, we get on their preferred insurance agency.
Okay.
So that way our premium stays at a low.
You get kind of a way to hedge that risk
Yes.
with those connections. That's a really smart idea. And we are out of time. And I want to thank you, Kishan, for joining me. And please, any contact information or things you'd like to share with our listeners and viewers?
Sure. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm there on all social media channels. My number is 620-704-1690. And you can text me, or my email is kishan@vtexequity.com.
Wonderful.
Happy to be on your show next time.
Thank you so much. And just to remember, folks, time heals all deals. And as the Angels Wilson Phillips told us, we just need to hold on for one more day. Thanks, and join us next time.